I remind you to choose the language. If you hear me here in English, that's fine. Se mi sentite qui in italiano, siete nel canale sbagliato. C'è sotto l'icona. There is the icon underneath to choose the language so you can hear me well. My name is Labrador and I will be happy to translate tonight for you. Good evening, says Ranyo. And convoy. My name is Ranyo Latuga, which is spider salad, and I'm the coordinator of Alchemy in Damanhur. Tonight, we here with me, Labrador. I'm your translator in English, as Ranyo speaks only Italian. And we will have very special evening together, and which is connected to the concept of time, and especially for those the events of our life, which maybe in the past blocked us, or from the past are blocking us, and makes that we have a non-positive result of what we are today due to our past. And why do we speak of that? A lot of us, thanks to childhood, which was not totally positive, or experiences with people as if we would bring behind a heavy luggage, and allows us to live a life we want to choose. We are choosing, and every of our choices is bringing us in a certain direction, because every moment in the spiritual physics in Damanhur, we consider it every 4 seconds there is the possibilities to at least have 6 different choices. And every time we choose this one direction, we exclude the others. The others turn into something possible. But right or wrong choices doesn't matter. What we are, it's determined by that, what we're choosing. And even if we don't choose, it's a choice by itself. So let's see a moment to see where we come from, because it gives us a moment of context. We don't come from nothing. We come like with a luggage. And the talents, the memories of our lives, whether it's past or future lives, our structure of our soul is very complex, and it's not made out of one personality. He says, I'm a Ranyo in this life. Yes, I'm almost 50. So I have 50 years of experiences, and I developed some talents, and I gained some experiences, but I wasn't born out of nothing. No, as every one of you, of us, of everyone in this world, we are born with predispositions, with talents. Did you ever ask yourself why in a family with more kids, which are educated the same way, that one kid is very drawn or good in mathematics, and the other one and another one is brought for singing or music, for example. Nevertheless, they receive the same education and the same treatment from their parents. It's something we bring with us from our past lives. In fact, in our tradition, so everyone, when it's born, has like this picture of its birth. So this picture of the birth, which is showing what the soul is bringing from its past experiences. And naturally, we can see some predispositions, characteristics which they have already inside of them and which they are able to develop, but also the critical points, the karmical points, or the big challenges or the experiences which they didn't manage in other lives. So we all bring that behind of us. And that's why every initiate pathway, every pathway of reawakening is starting from the concept of knowing yourself, and then you will know the universe. So know yourself, and then you know the universe. So to start with a spiritual pathway, we have to have clear who we are, where we are, and what brought us to where we are. It seems fundamental, basic, but it's aspects which we have to repeat to ourselves, and we have to put our questions to have different answers. So to complete a consciousness awareness of ourselves. So the moment of these choices are always conditioned of where we come from, and of course the experience of our family, who is um, like let's say hosting us in our lives, but the first 7 years are very, very strong because they give us this imprinting, whether it's positive, negative, or neutral. But this first 7 years, let's say, are more important than others or the ones who come afterwards. So, so there's an imprinting which will accompany us our whole life. So, let's imagine it's like geography, that somebody isn't born in North Italy, so in a little village in a mild climate, and with the seasons changing all 3 months. So, which is very different from somebody who was born maybe in the desert of the Sahara, or maybe the Inuit in on the poles. That's very important because the geographical area which is hosting us is imposing us the way of how we think and we live. And it's like a second river, as the Egyptians called it, and the third river, which is like forming us and characterizing of who we are and what we are, our personality, is the society we're living in. For example, if I was born in the 70s in Italy, so I went through an experience of a certain culture, which was very had a lot of emphasis on the Catholicism. There was a strong materialism. There was um, the crisis of now the crisis of the fuel, and then there was a boom of the Italian economy. Or It's very different for those who have been born in Berlin, where you had the wall on the one side, the communism, on the other part, the occidental part, as an alert, as a conflict. This aspect characterized a lot. These characteristics, whether they are social, philosophical, and geographical, it's a very strong imprinting of who we are. So to exit of these conditionings, because as we said, it's conditionings, they can be so maybe we had a very rich, wonderful upbringing, but maybe it was very negative if we have lived in a totalitarian regime. I don't think that this is a really beautiful experience, and so on. So all these things we have to have clear uh, for us. Why? Because when we are born, the society, the family, the environment is like as if it would give us like a push to all we also bring from our past, from other lives. So it's all these directions, it's all energetical pushes to bring us what we call the timeline, which is more likely. So, which means our destiny. So, if we speak about this aspect, we are defining the destiny which is already traced for us. So we follow that. So we all have our destiny, which is a possible, like a possible pathway from our birth to our death. This pathway, for the major part of the people, it's given by all the factors which we mentioned before. But here we have to start to add certain aspects because till now it seems like if we would robots, no, not like that. We're not just programmed and not like go in their programmation and do whatever is like foreseen for them or pre-programmed. No. That's not like it's working. Fortunately, as we humans, we have a potential inside of us which is amazing, which is even if we know little about it or um, not that much about it, what is this power? It's our power of choice, the ability to choose, because the choice is characterizing an evoluted soul, the fact that you can choose your own direction, your own life, beyond what the society, the family, the environment is telling us. That's characterizing the possibilities of being an evoluted soul because we recognize this power. And in whatever moment, in every these 4 seconds where we have these six choices in front of us, we are able to imagine if I would do this or that, if I go that way or the other way, what does it bring to me? Huh? So this happened to me. How do I wanna react on this or that event which happened to me? So it's all aspects, step by step, our divine choice. It brings us presence, consciousness. In fact, alchemy is born out of that, born out of the awareness of ourselves. The alchemical fire we light when we bring attention and presence to ourselves. That allows us to make this energy start inside of us to give us the power to determine our life choices. So from choices, we go to life choices. The more we are aware, the more we are in a profound contact of our life, the more we can pass on transit from the choice to what is the free will. Because the free will is the biggest value of our race, because the free will is an intrinsic power in every human being, which allows in whatever moment to change totally his or her own existence from one moment to another. And no one can inhibit that, not even the gods themselves. So that's fundamental because it's one of the intrinsic powers in the human race which are beyond the divine intervention. They cannot interfere in that. And this would open an enormous chapter. But let's keep it there because we have to go back to ourselves, knowing that we have this power, but to use this power of choice, of free will, we can be more and more aware of ourselves. And here we come back to the main topic of our evening. Our evening starts with the goal of saying, is it possible to modify aspects of our past? The past is incited, written in stone. It's something which existed already and exists and cannot be changed, or some philosophies, which also the Damanhuran philosophy says, nope, guys, time is something very open. It's not only one direction existing, which goes from morning, midday, evening, born, live, die, huh? Like the clock goes round, round, and round every day. No, no, no. It's only one of the possible time directions. And also there, we have been used, listen well to the word, to believe that this is the only truth. So this is the only possibility, and that if there not would exist others. And as they keep telling us it's only this, that's the direction. We're a bit like the horses with the blinds, we don't see what is around because everyone around tells us look there and go in that direction and that's it. And the past is past and the future is in front of you and you can construct it. But a lot of say it's not even that, because we have a destiny, so even our future is already written. Oi, oi. So past, future, and then we are like only actors in the film. We have to execute that. No, no, no. In this point, the knowledge intervenes, and it comes from alchemy, this science which is born from humans, and it's teaching humans to bring themselves from where they are to this higher level. That's its, well, that's a really a big reassumption of what alchemy is. Very, but it's like that. It's a pathway which allows you to make step by step to evolve. faster than on a, like say, on a normal pathway. In alchemy, the ancient knowledge and the modern knowledge are teaching us that there are a lot of time directions existing, not only one. What we think is the only one is only one between millions. Because, as we said, imagine that if every moment we have like every 4 seconds, we have 6 different choices, and we choose always one of 6 choices, and for every 6 choices, so imagine of this web of incredible possibilities which we generate, and therein the power of the imagination comes into play. Because imagination is a power we have which allows us, thanks to one of these border senses of our humans, which allows us with our mind to touch the possibilities of our existence, which is done very simply. If I would do this choice, but if I would do this and that tomorrow, what would happen? So imagine, try to imagine, try, you will have an inspiration to look on this timeline. Every one of these possibilities is one time direction, which is different. And that's a very interesting concept, isn't it? And then let's break another crucial point. We said our past, we live it as something which is already written. Now in alchemy, you say, no, look, every one of us is like clay. It's a bit like a form of clay from when you're born till you die. So all this creature, to say like this worm, can be constantly modified in more moments, in more times, in different places, because not being something fixed, not being something written in stone, but as clay is formable, you can uh, change the shape. So we also can change the shape in our being. But there you have to do like a jump of logic. The topic is, how can I modify choices which I took when I had like 20 years? Or how can I go to position myself in the next 5 years? How can I modify this reality which I already went through, or the one I haven't lived yet? Because it's true that the center is here and now. The center of like let's say the red point, Ranyo, in his case, 49 years, in this moment, is giving a lesson, a webinar online on alchemy on Sunday evening. That's the moment, that's the present, and that's correct. And we live the present because the present is the only moment from which something, from which the magic can be born, from which the choice can go out. The present is the only truth which is existing. Because what in the past was a memory, what in future may be a projection, but what we are now is our truth. So for the truth we know and we can understand in this moment. And here the game we do a lot. But like 100 of years ago, the earth was flat. Still people believe that. Today you think the earth is round. Maybe in 100, in 200, 300 years, we will find that the earth is an oval. Or as Homer says, a donut. Homer says, no, with the studies I did, I think it's round, but still, I cannot go with an spaceship outside and see it on with my eyes. So, till I can do that, there is still space for the hypothesis. Okay? This means it's not said that what we think is really true, so that it's today and it's always will be the same. No, the doubt is one of the requisites for an alchemist. To put in doubt things doesn't mean like Saint Thomas to go and touch everything. No, it means like to have the capacity of choosing to be able to understand, making questions and explore and so on. This is an important concept. And from there, we come to the concept of the present. This present of today can be our perception where we are, but this concept of the present can enlarge itself. Can enlarge itself to what? Thanks to our consciousness, because our consciousness is this tool which allows us and which brings us in time. Our consciousness is this tool which brings us around in time. We have been used that we have been brought up that we have our physical body and we can move from one part to another, and this is working. If they would have told us since we were little that we have the consciousness and bringing the presence and moving it with it, we can also move in beyond space. We can also use in time. So not only in space, we can also use in time, move in time. Everything would be much easier because also that could be like become a good habit that where we don't recognize ourselves as space creatures, who move in space, in a territory, but we would consider ourselves also as time creatures which have the ability to move, and also not only to move but to modify also the different parts of time where they find themselves. So that's an important point. So we are saying, okay, our point of reference, of presence, of truth is here and now. But this here and now, thanks to our interaction with our consciousness, can be like enlarged like a bubble and can contain contemporaneously more parts, but oh, can move. So we can move ourselves literally thanks to our consciousness to other points of ourselves in other spaces of times where we are present. So this is fundamental because he's stopping. Being creatures which are made in a certain way, we have this possibility. It's like a bit saying, why do we have hands? Well, we have them because in the evolution we developed this concept of taking, using objects, and so therefore we have the need of having hands, and that's the physical part. And we also spoke a bit about the border senses. And thanks to this one, we can imagine to go to other borders, to go beyond to the hypothesis of having just one pathway. So it can happen this or that, if I would have done that. So you're with me, right? That's already a border sense. But then there is also what we call the inner senses, which allow us, as we said before, to move ourselves with our consciousness. So, for example, in the spiritual physics and in alchemy in Damanhur, we call this inner sense of memory. Memory not as much as capacity of your brain to remember something and to think and memorize something. No, to the time functions, connected memory to time functions. We are present in more points of space and time, and we can bring our center, our attention, our presence freely to this point to another. Because as we are able to move ourselves from one city to another, Dranjo isn't, we're in Damanhur, but if I would take my car, I could go to, in 40 minutes, I would be in Turin. In an hour, I would be in Milan, and so on. In 2 hours, I would be in Geneva. So different possibilities and direction. Okay? And these are also time directions. As I'm living as a kid of 10 years, going into the elementary school with my companions, that's a clear time direction. Or the first kiss, yeah? Or the first work I had. When I changed my home, huh? It's all presence. This is where I'm present, as I'm present, like here and now. But in this moment, what happened? In one of these moments, we are like formed more or less consciously our existence, and therefore we created evolutionary possibilities and functional choices, or maybe also for wrong choices. We found ourselves in experiences which influenced negatively the uh, course of our life. So, as we said, that in alchemy, in time alchemy, you can go to modify the past, the future, and so on. I will invite you to do a little experiment where we go and to do a first step in this direction. Because every one of us has a certain luggage which you maybe would like to modify and to maybe make it better. So we have to exit from the logic that this isn't possible anymore. Yes, it is possible. It's something which is part of our nature. But we have to do that. We have to learn how to do that. We have to use these things. As we learn, as I said, we learn how to walk. We equally can learn techniques to move with our consciousness in time. And I'm telling you also a couple of other things. So imagine that these things we develop this hour in an alchemy school, and we teach that because we live really in these different levels of the school. You will learn a lot of different techniques to do that. Today we do a little trial to see how to start to move our consciousness from one point to another. And this is something which is doable for everyone in every moment. Of course, I would like to underline one thing. What do you do when you walk for a couple of hours, 3, 4 hours? Maybe you drink something, you eat before so that your physical body has the energy, the power to sustain this journey. Our time bodies to do that, to do movement. And also this one has the need of nourishment. As above, so below. So what's happening in one plane is a reflex of another plane. If we have to nourish the physical plane, so imagine that we don't nourish ourselves in other planes. No, we do that. We have the right energy to develop our consciousness, because if we don't have these energies, it is like to have like a wonderful Ferrari in our garage, but without like the fuel. This Ferrari will not move without gas, without energy inside. So we have an alchemical body which is perfect in constant transformation, which has the need naturally to be nourished in the right way to make all its parts work. Very simply, I imagine that all of us, we heard about speaking about the chakras and these energetical centers of our body and our subtle bodies. So these energetical fabrics, what do? They take energy and they transform it into thought, in emotion, in state of consciousness, in sexual energy. They're transforming it in a lot of aspects we have the need. So imagine that our alchemical laboratory is generating more than 1 million of substances, different alchemical substances, from the physical ones. So a lot. The major part is automatically. We don't think of how to create our white or red blood cells, or to breathe and how we bring in the oxygen and so on. No. It's happening naturally, automatically. So it's happening. So we have I want to become to have like I want to become a bodybuilder. It will not happen naturally. I have to bring attention and to go to the gym, and I will have to work out and invest in that, right? So then I will have a defined body, no, where I have presence and energy and so on, okay? The same thing which happens with our other bodies, to develop our other possibilities, we have to use them without becoming professional athletes, but at least to be able to know how to move and to be like to have our in possession of our capacities. And these capacities are called the paranormal powers of the humans, but in reality they're super normal things which every one of us has. We have our eternal senses and also the other inner senses. Every one of us has them. But if you don't know them and you don't know how to use them, it's like if you would not have them. Okay? So it's all premises which we need to put into order the understanding of what we will do. Without these explanations, which give like just a should give a little serenity to our brain, our mind, it would be hard for us to accept uh, this experiences, because a lot of people close up in front of new experiences. But if one is an explorer, adventurer, so you can find out about your soul and this famous um home of the white rabbit, huh? Like in Matrix, like the blue and the red pill. It's us who choose. Some can give us opportunity, yes, but then who has to go the pathway is every one of us. No one else can do that for us. Okay? So, like that. To learn that, we have to train our will. It's one of our other powers which we have to activate and going through a path of this kind. I almost this Ranyo, I would start together with you to do this experience, this little, let's call it little meditation. It's an exercise which brings us to touch points of our past, and we can explore them not with our memories. It's not that we go and we didn't finish the phrase. I think some of you know already the concept of NLP. So the neuro-linguistic programmation, it's a technique, modern technique, which started in the 60s, which is very interesting, which helps us to reprogram our brain, our mind, and give ourselves like an order and a cleanup. And it's to re-elaborate things which happened in the past, which maybe block us. But what does it do? We today re-elaborate the trauma of the kid when we were 10. We don't change what happened. We're not modifying there. We are here in the Ranyo of 49 years is re-elaborating this trauma when I was a kid. And this can be useful to have different can help because my view today is very different from what I'm doing today. Very linear, very simple, functional. Because let's understand each other. For everything we have to apply the right techniques. But if we want to modify a part of our existence of this moment, we have to go in this moment with our knowledge and make actions and bring knowledge, bring energy, emotion, make in a way that they're transform, our life is transformed, which then will transform also everything which comes afterwards. It's like creating a new branch in the plant. So that's the difference, fundamental difference between a mental work as NLP or an alchemical work of creating a new graft, huh? Like grafting a tree, creating a real new branch. It's just different instruments which have different functions, not that one is better than the other. And a good alchemist is using everything which is useful. There is no right or wrong. You need to use what is useful for you in this very moment, okay? Good. I promise that in a while we start. Very few moments we start. Another premises. But we have to I had this 10 years ago. But if I go there, if I modify the aspect which will bring me a benefit, huh? That's a fundamental question, right? Because modifying ourselves is creating a different version of ourselves, which doesn't mean that it's better or worse. Who can knows what the right modification, the right alchemical information modification for this very moment to live a condition which brings us evolution and not problems? The answer is our spiritual nature, our divine nature. So what I do, which I do already a couple of years, before I go to modify any aspect of myself, so together we go to our higher part because it's the part which has more awareness and consciousness than the other parts of us. And this divine part, this biggest part of ourselves, which is always us, but this part knows what is the best thing to modify in this moment. So the journey we will do now is a little meditation which brings us to a relaxation and entering inside of us to contact our divine, our spiritual part, however you want to call it, but we will ask it, what is this part of my past if I modify it in this moment, if I nourish it, or if I give love to it, whatever I need to do it, makes my life today better. So that's the fundamental question. I don't have the answer for Barbara, Bettina, Dean, John, Adriano, Christina, and for any one of you, not even for myself. Because with my mind, I can have ideas, intuitions, right? But it's not said that with my human mind, I can have this enlarged comprehension. No, I will not have that. With my divine consciousness, I have a much wider vision. And I have to go there to then be able to go and to operate, because there I have a point of clearness. So, the journey we will do is this one, that we are in this human part, we will contact our divine part, and we will guide you. And but what's this part which I can modify from my past, which makes it better, my life of today better? And I will move my consciousness there, and I will overlay myself to bring myself something, which can be what we said before, an embracement, a hug, an idea, an emotion, a joy, whatever it is, whatever it is. But we will do this graft, which will induce what we are today. Good. Now we're there. Good. To do so, we will do a little meditation. So, as I said before, we have to have the right energy to do these things. And the first energy which we need is the vital prana. It's a universal energy which we can recall thanks to a breathing which is slowly and consciously. And from there we start. Okay? So for those who like, I invite you to join us, and I invite you to be seated on a chair or wherever you're seated, that you have to have an upright spine. You don't have to, abandon yourself. You have to be with your body, with this anchor, which gives you this energy. And there we start with other parts of ourselves, okay? So, very good. We start, if you have glasses as me, give away everything unuseful or which is tightening you, and put your hands on your knees. And to do a slowly and profound breathing, inhaling from your nose and exhaling from your good open mouth. And breath and breathe slowly and deeply. Now we have to bring the attention to ourselves, thanks to the breathing which enters from the nose. We feel the air entering in our nose, coming into our lungs, and getting out of our good opened mouth. And we can feel the weight of our body on the chair. We're in contact. And we feel the clothes on our skin. And all that is relaxing us and is allowing us to concentrate on ourselves. And breath after breath, we start to nourish and to bring energy and consciousness to our center, to this point inside of us, which we choose, which is our center. The attention, the energy is nourishing, gives force, gives life to this our center. And all the sounds around us, the movement, everything which is happening is part of life. We embrace it, but as our thoughts, we let it transport away, as if we were. It's a neutrality of today, and breath after breath, we feel that our light is growing. For everyone, it's a unique color, brilliant, marvelous, because it's us. There is nothing more marvelous than ourselves. And breath after breath, this frequency is growing, expanding. And it's coloring our whole body. And it's coloring the vital aura. Our energetical bodies are nourished by this energy of presence and awareness. And breath after breath, our light is brightening also the place where we find ourselves, coloring everything with our frequency. As a little sun, we're starting to fill up with light everything which is around us, inside of us, outside of us. Everything is one. And breath after breath, we recognize that in this place where we find ourselves is a bright door. This bright door is opening, and we enter in this place, and we find ourselves in a long pathway. which brings us breath after breath towards a particular place, a castle. Everyone will see the place which is right for you above of this little hill, in this pathway, in this alley of trees, and breath after breath, every is colored by this light. We find this marvelous place. This marvelous place is vibrating exactly with our frequency. Very simply, we are there in the center of ourselves, in this place, not non-place, where all the questions can find all the answers, where all the answers find all the questions. And breath after breath, we find a place where we can sit down perfectly right for us. And in the moment we're in the center of this place, we feel that we took up contact with parts of ourselves which much bigger, much brighter than us. And breath after breath, we feel that we're in the center of our being, where everything is born and everything finishes, where our intuitions come, where our prayers find answers, and breath after breath, with a smile in our heart of happiness, to be again between our human and divine part. There is no separation anymore. There's only union. And breath after breath, we now put to ourselves this question: but what is this part of my past which I went through, which I now can change? In which way? Would it make my life today better? And putting ourselves this question, what is this moment, this aspect of the past, which I can modify with my consciousness in this moment to make my life better? And now we listen to the answer, which for everyone will arrive in a different way, maybe with a vision, but maybe with words, maybe with a scent, with sensations, with memories. And breath after breath, now we are taking in the right inspiration. And breath after breath, we start to understand what is this point of our past. Maybe it's critical. Maybe it caused a lot of problems for us. Or maybe it was an incomprehension. Who knows? But today we know that our consciousness can change it. As our hands are forming clay, our consciousness can form our soul. And we are perceiving this moment, this ourselves. And breath after breath, we see that we have in front of us a bright way which is bringing us right there. And we are aware of the answer which we can bring, the energy, the emotion, because our consciousness is moving freely along the lines of our existence. And it goes overlaying on this ourselves, younger. Maybe we have been a kid, or we have a youngster, or even grown up. For everyone, it will be special. But in this moment, we are there, ready to sustain ourselves, to bring ourselves a help. And breath after breath, we feel that our consciousness is forming this point of our being, of our life, as if it would bring this new branch of the plant we are part of. And it's modifying everything. What we are today, what will be in the future, what we have been in the past. It's like a state we're modifying. A part where everything is modifying the rest. And then breath after breath, our consciousness made it already. But step by step, we understand more, to perceive more. But now, our divine part is recalling us this marvelous point where we started from. It's like a time and space station, which brings us back into here and now, in the relative presence, always one with our divine consciousness, and with a sense of gratitude, of joy in our heart. We thank, we salute this part which is always here present for us, ready to inspire us in breath after breath. We exit from this marvelous place and we start to walk along this pathway with the trees, this alley we came from. And the light we are emitting ourselves is brightening up, and we reach the door which brought us here. And breath after breath, we go through it, and we find ourselves in the room where we are physically present here and now, which nourished us, which maintained us awake. And breath after breath, we overlay ourselves, we visualize it, we perceive it, like um like a hand would slip into a glove, and we overlay on our body because it's like a glove allowing us to move in space, which allowed us to move in time before. And breath after breath, we feel our hands, which can touch our feet, and with little movements with our neck, inhaling always from our nose and exhaling from the mouth. And we get back into our body, which is accompanying us since so many years for so long time. And then when we feel we can reopen your eyes and return into here and now, in this very moment where we started from. Eccoci qua, as you say in Italian. Back you are here. Wonderful. Good. Naturally, what we made, what we experienced tonight, it's a very light version. It's a very simple way of what we learn and what we're experimenting during the alchemy school. And we're training to use these techniques, which are much more complex, of course. And as today there are more and more refined techniques, which are more and more important, which then allow us to, like today, like we went with the bike, but we can learn to use a plane to say so. It's important to understand that we are able to move ourselves, not only our physical body, but also to move our consciousness. Someone said that already, maybe yes, maybe no. You experimented that already. Some of you maybe yes, others not yet. So it's all aspects which are openings of consciousness, especially in this moment, as we see where there is a lot of energy. This a lot of energy, if it's not used and consciously in the correct way, it's bringing unbalance. You can see the around in the world what's happening. Unfortunately, we find ourselves in a bit of chaos because this new vital energy, which is there for everyone in abundance, as everything can be used in a creative way, in a constructive way, or not being understood, can be used like the torrent in a river, which is taking us under. Unfortunately, a lot of people are victim to this current and not being able to guide it. So all this ignorance, this violence, all these things happening in the world, unfortunately are born out of that, this lack of consciousness, come out of the fact to want it to be connected to past aspects which are already over. We are in a new life, in a new era. The human being can live this as a lot of different other possibilities, sorry. But we have to learn how to live and to express it. All of you who were present here, it's not by chance. It's a synchronic flow which brings us towards evolution, every single one of us. So it will be up to every single one of you if you want to continue to ride on this wave, or to come back, stay on the beach and get sun. Everything's possible. But when these particular trains pass, these specific moments open, it's really, we can make these jumps of evolution. I mean, I'm speaking about including me. So we are living now in a bubble of consciousness made out of, how many are we? 40 people are here? And all those who are recuperating are listening to that of this experience in the next days. And also you will have the possibility to live this dimension which opened up for us now. It's a mystic dimension, yes. It's an alchemical dimension, yes, which we created together. So as I said to you before, everyone can give a direction, but if we put ourselves into synchrony, if we create an egregora, an energy together, and I hope you feel that, this is generating results. Because the evolution of the humans is not passing by the individual, it's always passing by groups, by union. The enemy is dividing, the friend is uniting. It's an ancient, how to call that, which gives us a clear dimension, because what's unifying is fruit to friendship. What is dividing is fruit of the antagonist of humans, because it trying um, to inhibit the evolution of our race. But we always hope that we manage to inhibit that. How did this experience go for you? If you have any questions, please go ahead. We still have a little time, because it's also important to give voice in this case. Like, you can also write in the chat what you experienced, because you can also write it in English. I will translate it into Italian. But we have to exit from this mass, and we have to translate our spiritual experiences into our daily lives, give them meaning, because it's one of these exercises which are very important, which are part of the pathway, because it means being aware of what's happening for the dreams, for the intuition, for the exercises of alchemy, and a lot of other stuff. We are teaching how to manage to also to write down, like to give voice, to express our emotions. So Christina says everything is very beautiful, but changing where there was a lot of damage, I put it into focus, but I didn't manage to rewrite it, override it. It's not said that you have to override it, says Saranyo. Today we have to add, we don't have to cancel, we have to add things. Let's put pieces more of it together. Because to rewrite our existence, yes, you can do that. Everything's possible, of course, but step by step. Now we start and we give like little strokes to it, of color, to take up the courage of what we do can really bring us to a difference. Now, my tip for Christina, but for every one of you, is in the next days, ask yourselves, what happened regarding to the situation till today? Did anything change? Do I'm living in a different way in this aspect, or is all the same? Give time that this little plant, that this grant is developing. You will recognize. Tarek is writing that what I wanted to modify presented itself immediately. So I didn't visualize the house immediately, like what we said in the beginning. Don't you worry. I'm giving you examples to give you a frequency, a direction. It's examples. Sometimes we see a pathway to a castle, sometimes we use an elevator. It's just ways of living a journey and imagining this journey because it's a journey towards to our soul. And we have to give it images because then it's easier for us. But it's a concept of vibration, of frequency. So don't you worry. It's your soul, it's your divine spark, which will help you to find the right way. So we are its manifestation, and the more we're aware, the more we can be at service of this part of ourselves, of our bigger part. So this sun, which is expressing everything and doesn't have the need of anything because it's the sun, the sun has all the energy which it needs. It doesn't need anything. It's illuminating and giving life. Full stop. Huh? So we are like little suns. If we learn to position ourselves there, we have the knowledge, we have the energy of everything we need. So, Diana, so we'll just translate the English ones. I invite you to read them in the chat, please. Dean, Dean, great. Fantastic. I just translated what I said, and Rani says, "Oh my God." So, so what Dean was writing is something which, when you work on time, it's amazing that this happens because often the result is always perceiving the action which allowed it to happen. Oh, mind blowing, right? Because time is not linear. So that's it's really an aspect which we have to learn to embrace, to accept. It's not this one pathway existing, past, present, future. If we have results unexpected or something, it means that the action which provoked it, we have done it or we will do it in 5 years. That's the beauty of time alchemy. It's circular, it's not a direct line. So the causes can be perceive the effect and vice versa. Yeah, it's like a paradox, and absolutely. So now I translated Bettina's question, how do we change collective fields of pain and fear? So there are moments of our past or maybe our future or where we live suffering. Where does it come from? It comes majorly from an incomprehension and non-clearness, non-acceptance, and so on. So my tip is to put ourselves to a higher pound of ourselves where we have more resources to be then able to understand these moments. It's like if you put light on it because it's lit up by our consciousness, because then we can remanage, we can put it into different order. We can shape it, yeah, because it's maybe conditioned with its knots which have to be unfolded. But when you're inside, you don't manage. Yeah? But if you go out of the moment and go to your most complete part, then you have the vision and also the power, which is fundamental, to interact. So Tarek is asking, can I redo it this night or shall I have to wait? This exercise we did today is a very simple and base version where we connect to this container of energy of our soul. And you in your meditation can, and I'm inviting you to do that as much as you want and as you can, because to recenter with yourselves, with your higher parts, and to observe from there your existence is only a benediction. And this is fine, of course. But to do work which is much more complicated, to modify much more situations, we have the need of a specific energy, and it's time energy, which we call it. And we will learn that in the alchemy school to collect that, because time is a territory. It's like space made out of different parts, and every part can be taken, used for different goals. So, but there are techniques to learn that, to collect it, and to use it to bring it into specific points and create situations. Because if we have to work with clay, we have to bring the clay there in this point, right? So that's something you have to understand. We have to understand. And you do that with a certain preparation, of course. And we do that in the second level of the alchemy school. The first level is where we learn about our characteristics and our potentials and how to use that and to put an order inside. And when we recreated this order in our chemical laboratory, and there we can move in what we call the spiritual ecosystem. And from there, we can interact. So that's an important thing. We have to interact with the spiritual system. And as we said before, if we nourish our body, I eat fruit, salad, or a pizza. Okay, it's nourishing, giving us energy, but in the same way, to do certain journeys and to do modifications in time, we have the need to take like time apples, yeah, time pizzas, time energy, which we call time fractions, pieces of time where you learn with adequate instruments to guide them, to conserve them, and to use them, and also to transform them where you need them. So we started really from the ABC, but there's a pathway behind to, and it's possible to become experts and like shaping ourselves and making ourselves better, because that's the beauty of the alchemist. The biggest, like the best art piece he or she can do is himself, herself. So you learn to shape yourself to create the best art expression you can have, like, because you do it with your divine part, which is then expressing in matter. So it's the best version. So those who are interested, we are experimenting that in the group, and we're bringing them ahead, as we said tonight. But it's very practical, it's very hands-on. And for those who are following us, that after this webinar, you can have the registration, uh, hear it again, experiment again, do the exercise again, and We will also send you the dates when we have the meetings or when we start with our levels, when we start with the new rounds in September, and the inscriptions are open. So for those who are interested and for those who feel it's the right moment now, you can jump on this train and support, and or maybe even to accelerate your personal development. So this is the occasion, or this is one of an occasion, because we always find ourselves in front of these moments where we can say, okay, what I tried today, what is it, something of the very moment? Is it was just like a roller coaster ride? Or do I want to really live it as an opportunity and going to change my life in the direction I really want? Well, that's what I wish for every one of you, even for myself, that we manage to learn so that we for real can put into practice what we know so that I can be the best version of myself. And we don't even have an idea of how much beauty and power we carry in ourselves and how much opportunity and possibilities. But it's the moment to find out we have to launch ourselves in the adventure now. Because, yes, in time there are a lot of directions, but it's consuming. We, anyway, have a certain time package, which we is reducing step by step. So don't waste it, because one of the most important things we have is time. So I wish you a good evening or a good day where you are. Thank you very much for sharing with us. Thanks for participating, and thanks for your energy you shared with us. And I would be very happy to see you on the next occasion. And I'm wishing you all the best from Damanhur. And the same for me. I hope you had a good evening. Come boy. And hope to see you soon. Enjoy.